Welcome to the Fit2 Talk podcast.
Thank you for joining us as we bring you meaningful, helpful, and accurate information. And
Remind you that fitness doesn't have to be boring.
right now you're listening or watching one of our talk episodes during which Bobby and I, unsurprisingly, talk. We do this.
We do a lot of this.
Yeah, that's kind of it.
Yeah, we do it weekly.
Yeah, for a long time now.
Yeah, for a long time.
Surprising.
Yeah.
If you like what we do, please leave us a review.
Yeah, absolutely. If you don't like what we do, then don't worry.
Don't leave a review.
On that note, let's play the sad trombones. There's no sad trombones. Cue the music!
It's Fit2 Talk. Let's start off with a joke.
Do hit me with it.
There's not really like a good setup to this. It's just got a funny payoff. I say funny. We'll see. There are two muffins baking in the oven. One muffin says to the other, "Phew, it's getting hot in here. Or is it just me?" We'll hear the rest after.
Oh, okay. This feels like a departure in the style of joke.
It is a different style of joke than the ones we've had previously.
I'm okay with that.
It's just so hot today. I tried to find a heat-based.
It's so hot today.
Yeah, we're recording this like a week ahead, and it's, you know, the time when it's like hit like 30 degrees. Bobby is like desperately drinking water there.
Gotta hydrate.
We have been sweating profusely recording a guest earlier on. Yeah. It's hot in here.
It's just real hot, and then we've thrown some lights into the mix. And then,
3 giant studio lights.
Lots of studio lights, and yes,
We
it's
love
warm.
that.
It's warm, and anybody who knows me knows how sweaty I am on a daily basis. I was on the tube earlier on the way here, and I was like, I'm sat in there in my like basketball jersey and shorts, and I'm like sweltering, so uncomfortably hot that I might pass out. There's people next to me in like fleeces, long jeans, like people dressed for winter, and I don't understand. I'm like, I know there's something wrong with me. That's just that's a given. Yeah. That's a given that there's something wrong with me. But I was like, how?
It's bizarre. I'm finding at the moment, like I'm wearing linen trousers today.
Yeah, and you were rocking the linen today. I loved it.
It's because it's my shorts are all too small for my legs now.
Fair.
Because when was the last time a human being wore shorts?
You're a thick boy.
Like, yep, he's gone up a size since last summer.
He's thick. 2 C's, maybe 3.
But also, the reality of that is they had been in. Oh, I'm going to skate over that.
Yeah, I know you are.
The reality is that stuff had been in my wardrobe at the back, at the bottom for too long. And realistically, it had got a bit moldy. And so I was like, oh God, so fix that issue. And then tried them on and they were too small.
Livid.
So I was like, great, I don't have any shorts that fit now.
That's frustrating.
So linen is the only way. And
I love it.
You know, whilst we've got sacks on the walls, I do feel like I am in keeping with this theme.
Yeah. I feel like we need to get you a hat.
Like a Hessian hat with this, a bit of straw.
Like a nice boater or something.
I'm kind of up for that.
I think you would rock that look.
I think it would happen.
It's the next evolution for your look.
I don't know. That might be true.
Yeah.
The pre-shaved head bit. Before that goes down.
Before that moment, we're getting the boater hat.
It'll be hats first, won't it?
And
Then full shaved head.
Yeah.
Although in this heat, who can wear a hat?
I could wear a hat. I was toying with wearing a hat today.
Don't ruin it.
I was legitimately in my house going, I feel like I might wear a hat.
How could you wear a hat in this heat? Like the second it goes across your forehead just sweats.
I find when my hair is across my forehead, I sweat more than with a hat.
Quiff.
Sorted it. Quiff.
Fixed it. Quiff.
Quiff
it up, baby.
That's what's going wrong all
I
this
want
time.
to see you with your hair like done full grease style.
No, I would look terrible.
Oh.
It doesn't last as well. Like, unless you like blast it with hairspray for like an hour and gel. Like, it doesn't. It just goes curly.
I'm willing for you to go through that just for
for
me to experience.
Thank you. That's very kind of you.
We should chat. Like one of the things I wanted to ask you about, because you're actually talking to me on the way up today, about auditions.
Yes.
And you said that you'd had a similar experience to me in an audition recently, where you said you'd got a no from this job.
Correct. Yes.
I hope you don't mind. I'm talking about this on podcast.
No. Can't open that fresh wound.
Yeah. And you'd had the same experience as me with this job, in which it had been the most fantastic process, and the director, they had gone through that process with you and made you feel like you were getting the job.
Yeah.
I just wanted to bring that up.
No, thank you for bringing that up. But it's true. Like, I came out of that audition the other day, and I was like, I think I smashed this.
Yeah.
And like, very rarely will I say I smashed an audition, but I was like, no, I think like that was probably the best that I could do. And they, in the room, they had made me feel like I'd done an amazing job.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of torn by that.
Me too. And now, not that I'm glad you've had that experience, because I'm not, because it's unpleasant. But after that was the exact experience I had when you go, no, I did do the best I could have done.
Yeah.
And they were behaving like I was the exact person for them.
Yes. Yeah.
You're like, I'm giving them exactly what they want. They're going, ooh, and do this as well. Yes, that's it. Like, bingo, you're on it. And then it's like, oh, it didn't go your way. What was missing? Like, feedback is sort of, I normally don't really want feedback from auditions. I don't really care. I didn't get it. I get it. Cool. Yeah. But what's the outcome for that? Like, what do I do with that?
I don't know. I tend to avoid feedback, like you say. Like, I kind of well, you get to a point where the feedback's not going to help you in any way, really. Like, getting a yes and a no, that absolutely will.
Oh my God, yes,
but,
please. Yeah.
Feedback, I to be honest, I'm actually at a point in my career, in my life, that I don't really want feedback at all, because I'm like, in the past I've had feedback where they've been like, oh, you're too old and out of shape. Like, that's legitimately a piece of feedback I got. We think Bobby's too old and out of shape. At which point I was like, I'm probably in the best shape of my life.
You know what you need to do? Thirsty Instagram pic.
Thirsty Instagram
Just
pic.
one.
That is it.
Pin to the top.
One absolute thirst shot.
Thirst shot. That's what I've got.
Yeah. Fair. I can't submit to the thirst shot. I can't do it. But yeah, I've had that feedback before, and I kind of that
would
feedback,
recommend thirst shot.
That feedback just blew my mind when I got it. I was like, this is madness. But so now I don't really look for feedback. But then on the topic of this audition, like, I do go, I don't know what I did wrong, and it almost I don't. And then I get to a point where I go, I don't know. Was it me? Was it something else? Like, what is it? And I think I'm going a bit all over the place with this, but I think with this audition, I didn't mind coming out feeling like I'd smashed it, because I felt like it was genuine from the panel. I've been in auditions before, similar, where they've made me feel like I've done a great job, but I've known, being in the room with them at the time, that they are lying.
Yes, yeah.
I'm like, this is just what, this is what you say to all the girls. But this, like, it felt like it's just
great work. That was fantastic. Yeah. So good to have you in.
Nailed it. I loved your choices.
Yeah.
There's one person who is particularly guilty of this and likes to, I'm not going to say the name, but likes to make everybody think that they are the nicest person in the world and the best person to work for, and they're wonderful, and they love that you've come in and that you've given up your time, when they're just saying the same thing to every single person, and they don't actually believe that. They are very very much just putting on a facade.
Yeah.
And that I don't like. That annoys me, because I'm like, you don't need to be like that. Like, if in the moment you're thinking, oh no, I really like what you're doing, and then it comes to a decision and they go, oh, actually they're not right, then fine. I understand that. Like, you can enjoy what I'm doing in the room, but then not necessarily think I'm right for that track, and that's fine. But
the advice is the classic, isn't it? That they say, like you said, right? You go, I don't know what I was doing wrong. Anyone listening to that is going to go, oh, it's not the thing you were doing wrong. It's that they wanted something else. And you're like, absolutely. This is not our first rodeo.
No.
We get that. It's just about making, like, truly treating you like you're the human being in front of them.
Yeah.
It's, I think, equally as cruel to make out like you've done everything we could possibly want and you've nailed it. This is yours. And then have you leave the room and go, nah.
Yeah.
Like, that's equally as cruel as being miserable in the room. Like that's equally as misleading.
100%. Yeah. And I think I think a lot of people don't agree with that, but I think that is 100% true. And I think it's like I just said, like it depends where it's coming from. Like if in that moment that you're in the room and that you're performing for them, they go, "Oh, I love what you're doing." Like they genuinely believe it, then I don't mind it. Then I go, that's fine. That's your just reaction to what I'm doing at that moment. Whether like 10 minutes later you look at the track and you go, actually, I don't think that's going to be right. That's fine. But if you, as a director, choreographer, casting director, whoever, are purposefully going out of your way to make that person feel like they've got the job when you have no intention of giving them the job, that's just nasty.
There's a professional middle ground.
Yeah. Like don't do that, because that makes that just toys with people's emotions.
Yeah.
And you're doing that on purpose, which that's not a nice person. So there is a middle ground, and
professional.
It's difficult. Yeah, just be professional. Be like, you don't need to go to the extremes.
Yeah,
like
courteous, nice, comfortable. Make it a safe space,
safe, welcoming space. Like,
and thank them for their work at the end. Thank you so much. Thanks for coming in. Whichever way, that way you're safe. Like then you have the same expectation each time. I was going to ask you when we were doing this, like, what's your pre-audition process? Like when you're getting ready for, let's say an acting or a singing audition, like, what do you do in the morning of that thing?
Nowadays I try not to focus on it. Like I prep hard for auditions. Like I will do my best to prepare for it as much as possible. Like try and nail the singing as much as possible. Try and get off book as much as possible. Not always, like, because it's not always possible. But try and like really make my choices so I know what I'm doing when I go in there, so I feel prepared. Then beyond that, on the day, I try to distract myself. I try and do other things until I go, okay, I'm going to sing through each song once. I'm going to read each bit of script once out loud, and then I'm done. Then off I go to my audition. And then I like to rock up to my audition like 10 minutes before. I don't like to get there loads of time before. I like to get in there to a point where I go, put my bag down, take my stuff out, grab some water, go to the toilet, and then they're like, okay, Bobby, do you want to come on in? That's the ideal situation for me.
Me too. I'll make sure I get to the area of the audition.
Yeah.
Like half an hour, 40 minutes before.
Yeah.
Then I'll go for a coffee or some kind of drink or something. If there's nothing around there, then I'll read a book or whatever it might be. I will rock in at like 5 minutes before my audition, ideally.
Yeah.
Like I'm like later than you, I think.
Nice.
And if I've been to the toilet and I don't need any water, I will turn up at 2 minutes prior.
Fair.
And when I get there, and if they're like, oh, we're running a bit behind, like I will ask how long. And if it's more than 20 minutes, I'll go and come back.
No, fair.
I'll let them know, but I'll be like, I'm going to head out and grab a coffee and I'll come back. Because I don't want to be around nervous people. They're going to make me nervous. I don't want to be affected by that energy. I certainly don't want to hear people in the room.
No, you definitely don't want to hear that. Like, because then you get into a position where you start comparing yourself, and then that's the worst thing you can do in that situation.
And I'm not the best singer in that group of people. So if I'm hearing somebody sing it amazingly, they might be doing the worst job of acting it I've ever heard. But that's not what's happening in my head. So I'm going, I've already lost it at that point. So for me, and so I know what I need to do to manage that. And in the same way, you don't have that option in a dance call. But like, why would you put yourself in that position? Obviously, you have to make sure that you're there. I was actually late the other day to an audition. I think I told you.
Yeah, you text me on the way.
Ooh, no, it was the train strike day.
Oh, so stressful, so stressful.
They knew like a whole bunch of people were going to be late. Yeah. But I'd left like an insane amount of time. And I don't think I've ever been late for an audition before.
No.
But there it was. And I was like 25 minutes late for this thing. I was like, okay.
This is properly late. But in a way, that's better because like...
Yeah. It's not like you could have left a bit earlier.
Yeah. It's not like, oh, you could have left 5 minutes earlier and you would have been on time. No, you're like, no, this is like, there's been a significant problem here.
An error has come up.
Yeah.
And I was like, cool. Good times.
Good times.
Give me great material for going into the room though. Because I'm terrible for that, I'm like, some of the jobs I've gotten have been because I've basically been doing a stand-up routine when I walk in.
I love that.
Which I feel like now, and like students at drama school and stuff, I'm so serious, like all the time. Even on this podcast, I feel like I'm relatively serious, especially when we have guests.
Yeah, the guest episodes maybe.
And literally, it's like a mini stand-up. I remember a character when I did TV for my first job, the soap.
Yeah.
Right, I went in and he was like this bad boy that was like, dealing coke and robbing houses and riding a motorbike and all this stuff. I went in my audition. I told them a story about this bee that was kind of floating around me on the train to the audition.
Yeah.
To Wales, and then about this person that sat down next to me, like this massive tail that like unfurled into this, like it was a bit.
Okay.
It was straight up a bit.
I love it.
At the time, I was writing stand up, so I was like,
fantastic.
Whenever I went into audition
How
room,
have we not discussed your stand up phase?
This never come up. It was just a recycled bit. None of it was true.
Yeah.
And I do that all the time, and they loved it. Yeah. And then they had this real confusion with the character because they started making him do funny things. But he was also all of the other things. So like then he started like hosting a pub quiz in the pub that was like jokes, but at the same time, he like this. Oh my god, it was really messed up, but really fun. So it gets you into some situations. Maybe I should just shut up.
Well, you see, I'm super awkward when I go into auditions. I'm like, you know what I'm like anyway. Like I walk in, I'm like, hey.
But maybe that's it. Maybe it comes across as mysterious.
I do not come across as mysterious. In any way.
The beard hides a lot of sins,
They just are surprised that I'm there.
Oh, it's you. Cool.
What I do love is when casting directors are surprised that I can dance. I get this quite often. Because I don't look anything like a dancer, because I look like I'm a bricklayer, like people kind of have an assumption that I can't dance. So when I can at least vaguely dance, people are like, oh.
Well, it is quite... Now, this is it's quite it's strangely difficult to talk about as a topic, but you look incredibly sort of classically masculine.
Yeah.
And, looking at our industry, that isn't, it tends to be people who... really take care of their, wouldn't have a beard, let's say, for the most part, is number one.
Yeah,
right.
No, the beard in itself is like a massive departure from a lot of performers.
100%, because it's literally just the style of grooming rather than anything else. Like if you were completely clean shaven and you did your grease hair.
Oh, I'm not ever doing this grease hair, just so you know.
Next episode.
It's just a hairstyling episode.
I've just worn you down by talking about it for like 4 weeks. So you're like, fine.
You're going to style my hair. I'm excited for this episode.
It'd be weird, but we'll do it.
Yeah, embrace it.
What is it? Tits for clicks. That's the phrase, isn't it? So
is that a phrase?
Yeah, whatever you need. It was in a film that I watched the other day on Netflix called The Tower. And it is, it's about listen to this premise. Okay. These two young women, pick your choice. They decide, they were climbing a mountain or like a cliff face, and like her boyfriend died on the cliff face. So then they decide that's like the first minute of the movie. That's not a spoiler.
Okay.
Then they decide to find, a year later, the highest like radio tower in the world.
Right.
And it's like 2,000 feet up or something. Like it's an insane, it's stupidly high. That might be wrong, but stupid high. Higher than the Eiffel Tower, higher than everything.
Fine.
And then they climb this thing. And obviously, shit goes wrong and they get stuck up there. That's kind of the point.
Fair.
And it's in that, like one of them's like Instagramming stuff like live, and she's like pushes her boobs up and does like, tits for clicks. I was like, I love it.
Like strong phrase.
Strong phrase. I'm keeping it.
I'll use that.
That's going to be Fit2's motto from now on.
Nips for clicks.
Nips for clicks.
You can just get your nips
just
out
get
again.
my single nip.
Your nips love to make an appearance.
Yeah.
Why are you making your boobs dance with your hands?
Because they're too sore to do themselves.
Oh dear.
Yeah, my whole body's sore. But yeah, looking back at that audition process, then what's the weirdest audition you've ever had?
What is the weirdest audition I've ever had? I mean, quite often the weird ones are where you have to do some improv as part of it.
Okay.
Like, I always feel like when they go at the end of a dance routine, they're like, okay, you got some freestyle now, but we want to see your character. They're like, we don't want to see tricks and stuff. We want to see character. And I'm like, oh, okay, you're about to witness some stuff and you're not going to like it. You're either going to love it or you're going to hate
so
what I'm about to do.
So you meant dance improv?
Yeah, in general, yeah.
Because I went a different road then. I was like, you must be giving them some weird improv stuff.
Yeah, you must be giving some real strange stuff.
I'm okay with that.
I remember as a kid, just going off on a tangent, doing an advert, and the audition for the advert was I have to be a chicken laying an egg. And bearing in mind, I was about like 10 at the time.
Okay.
And they were like, okay, you're a chicken laying an egg, lay that egg. And I was like, oh my God. And I've just remembered another, this. Okay, this is the worst audition I've ever had. I was auditioning at the age of like, I want to say 13. I was auditioning for, what was that name? What was that Steve Coogan film about a prison officer? I can't remember what it was called.
Steve Coogan, I'm out.
There was a Steve, same.
Yeah.
There was a Steve Coogan film. That was called like The Parole Officer or something. I can't remember. And I was auditioning for that. And as part of the audition, I'd rocked up with my mum, like obviously because it was an audition. I was 13. My mum came along with me, and it was in just like offices of some studio or something. I don't know. So like thin walls. I'm in there, and
I already know where this is going. I could take a massive swing about it.
And they were like, okay, so in this scene, I'd not had any script before, and they were like, in this scene, we need you to fake an orgasm. And I was like, what?
Yeah.
And like, they were like, yeah. We need to hear you fake an orgasm. I was like, and I'm not ashamed to say, I was 13. I didn't know what that was.
Yeah.
I didn't know what that sounded like.
What did you do?
I do not remember, but all I remember was making these noises, and my mum is in the next room, and she can hear every single sound.
And you're like,
and I'm like, I'm going through two feelings. I'm going through the embarrassment of, I don't know what that sounds like, so you're making me make up a sound.
Yeah.
Like, of course I've seen porn, but like what 13-year-old boy hasn't?
Oh my God, so you're like, oh yeah. Oh.
I'm like, oh, you naughty. Oh.
That's where your obsession with that comes from.
Oh, you naughty. You want a little bit of this? Oh.
Booked it.
No, I didn't. Shockingly, I did not book that job.
Cool.
But yeah, that was a harrowing experience.
That's really messed up in many ways. I mean, let's not even dive into that because it's
that is quite a traumatic moment in my life that I always forget about, and then all of a sudden will just like absolutely spring into my brain and be horrifying all over again.
And this is why safeguarding exists.
Yeah, exactly. What's your worst ever audition?
I really should have thought about that when I asked you, shouldn't I?
Possibly.
There are genuinely so many.
Yeah.
Like, so I've talked about the one I went for, like a surf advert where the juggling one.
yeah.
Where they just hadn't even conceptualized that they didn't need somebody that could juggle. It was stupid. I've had some auditions where they've sort of said they've been pretty horrible in the room. Yeah. Like, to your face, you know, or while not to your face, but while you can hear them. Like, I've had one where I walked in and a certain casting director was on Grindr.
Oh, that's fairly
common.
It's common, yeah.
And you've got mirrors behind you, I can see that you're on
see
Grindr.
what you're doing.
But I got in trouble for that one because I got in trouble. I knew they were annoyed because they said, "What are you singing?" etc. I took the stuff to the piano, and then I went and stood there, and the pianist was like waiting for me, and I was just looking at that casting director, and I could see on Grindr, and I just waited. I waited and waited until the person next to them tapped them. And they turned and looked and put their phone down. And then I looked at the pianist like, okay, let's go.
I love that.
And they obviously, I didn't get a recall, like, because they were like pissed off.
Yeah. But what right do they have to be pissed off?
I was like, because I've waited, I've got like, but you've made me come in here, right? They'd given me a day's notice for the audition. I'd learned 2 songs for this thing. I was absolutely raging about it at the time, like about that not being not that time frame, but just not fun. I think the worst one has to be like ones I have fucked up.
Nice.
Like there's that Rocky Horror one from years ago where I cracked the worst crack in the world, where it was actually like I went through 4 phases of voice over the course of this crack, and then they blessed them. They then said, "Do you want to come and do the scenes?" And I was like, "Is there any point?" Like,
really?
And we sat there, all of us, while I went through these scenes and was like, why are we doing this? Like, I get that it's a final, but I fucked up. Just let me leave.
Yeah, just let me leave.
But hard to navigate. Don't blame them. That was on me. But I'm sure I'll think of more later on today, actually.
Yeah. I've done lots of dance ones where I've been like halfway through and have just regretted every choice I've ever made. I remember like pushing to get seen for one thing And then like I was away on tour, so I got called in and I was like, okay, it's on a phone. I'm going to have to go. Got up at like 3 a.m. to get down from where I was. I was in Blackpool, I think. Went to the audition, had to get a pair of jazz shoes. So I was like, Sam, can you meet me in central London with my jazz shoes that I haven't worn in like 15 years?
Yeah.
Got these jazz shoes, went into the audition, thought, okay, I'm in pretty good nick, like fitness-wise. This should be all right. No, it was not. It was horrific. It was the most horrific dance school I've ever been involved in. And I like, even like 5 minutes in, I was like, I need to not be in this room.
And that was Joseph.
But you know, I stuck it out, and then they got to the end, and they were like, "Oh, typical. Can we just see like 4/8 of freestyle at the end of the routine? This exhausting routine." They were like 4/8 of freestyle, and I was like, normally I really enjoy I don't enjoy freestyle, but I enjoy like doing something character related. Whilst other people are doing like tricks and stuff, I like to do something that's like vaguely character in amongst it. But in this one, I was like, I'm never getting this job in a million years. So I just did circular springs for 4/8. Round and round in a circle I went, and it was fantastic. I was like, I do not care. But I like apologized to the casting director on the way out, being like, I'm sorry, I was appalling in that. I'm sorry.
Do you know what? I should take up that practice for every dance call I'm in. I actually did that with Joseph.
Fair.
Before the last dance round,
Yeah.
I went up to John Rigby.
Yeah.
And because I'd known him from before, and I went up to him at the thing, and I was like, "Hey, John, how are you?" Because he'd said hi, and I was like, "I'm really sorry, you're about to watch me dance. You've never seen me dance before." And he was like, "Oh, you'll be fine. You'll be fine." And I was like, "No, you don't understand. Like, apologies in advance. Like, enjoy. Just enjoy it later.
You're gonna love this.
Yeah. But hey, yeah, so many dance calls I've walked out of.
Yeah.
Because they've been movement calls that have not been movement calls.
That's standard.
You're like, also, if you take me to a dance call of some kind, I pretty much only go to movement calls anyway, or movers dance calls. If they go, oh, and there's 4 counts of 8 at the end, I'm out. Like, I'm leaving that room. That I have never done an audition where I've had to do that.
I tell you what you should do. Like,
Leave.
No, just stand still. Just be an ocean of stillness. Like,
And observe.
That's the thing. Like, everybody else is going to be doing like tilts and like leaping across the room. And if you just stand there and you're like, yeah, go like full canton on it. Like, just stand and turn slowly.
Canter.
Yeah, go full canter.
You think I should just run into the panel and knee one of them in the face?
Yeah, go full karate. Get suspended from theatre for years.
What happened? Well, I kicked Grindrod in the face.
I just went cantonar.
Sorry, they said 4 counts of 8.
There was no limit on what I could do.
Character was Cantona.
Yeah, character was Cantona. Did you not know?
Like, what wasn't clear?
It's very obviously Cantona.
Let's end this because we've gone round the houses.
We could go on for days. Like, I think auditions are such a fascinating experience.
There's more. There's always more.
There's always more.
But hey, we need more episodes. So
yeah, I tell you what. Tell us your worst audition stories. Please get in touch. Drop us a message. I want to hear your worst audition stories.
Yes.
That'd be so
Cracks,
much fun.
Fails, falls, illness, everything.
Yes.
Horrible things that people have said to you, positive things that people, maybe not the positive ones. That's great for you, but boring for us. Let's get to it.
Yeah, I remember one time a musical director, after I just sang, the first time I sang, he went, "What was that?" And I was like, my song? And he was like, yeah, but I don't know what it was. What was it?
What was it?
Yeah, I can't remember.
Is that what he said?
He was like, what? He was like, I just don't, it was just so woolly. Why is it so woolly? I was like, I don't know what you're talking about. Then he was like, okay, fine, let's just do some scales going down. Did my first scales. And like, by this point I was terrified of what was going on in the room.
Yeah.
So I started the scales down, did like the first bit, and he went, "Is that it?" And I was like, in my head going, "Wow, this is the moment I retire."
Yeah, this is also like, I don't want this job anymore.
I was like,
goodbye.
Yeah, I was like, this is miserable. Like, you are a horrible person.
Yeah, no
Leave
thanks.
me alone. And like that was a full day audition. So then I was like sat in the cafe listening afterwards, and like some of the like people came out of there in tears.
I'm not surprised.
Like, people were he was tearing these people apart, and I was like, this This is horrible.
On that positive note,
On that positive note.
shall I cheer us up?
Yes, please.
Are you ready for this?
Yeah, go.
Because it's really bad. There are 2 muffins baking in the oven. One muffin says to the other, "Phew, it's getting hot in here, or is it just me?" The other muffin says, "Ah, a talking muffin!"
Oh my God. Oh God. Oh. That's awful.
Yeah, it is.
That's awful.
That's the departure.
That's awful.
Yeah.
Can I tell you a joke?
Yes.
Why did Sunday go to the gym?
I don't know. Why did Sunday go to the gym?
Because it wasn't a weekday.
Oh.
Hey-oh!
I both hated it
Yeah.
and loved it.
Yeah, you're
I'm
welcome.
on board.
Drink it in.
7 out of 10.
Thanks.
Well, thank you everybody for listening to Fit2 Talk. Don't miss our next guest when we're joined by Alex or Alexandra Dorr.
Oh, yes, indeed. That was a lovely chat.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, and she's just stepped out of Bat Out of Hell and a very exciting new project coming up that we can't talk about.
Oh, very exciting.
But,
Hush, hush.
Yeah, so I would love to tell you more, but we can't.
We can't. But listen into that episode because it's a fantastic chat. And find us on social media at Fit2_Talk. As always, if you've got any questions you want answered by us, or you want to tell us your audition stories, please do get in touch. Slip slide into those DMs. I'll be sat there crying after thinking about all the auditions that I failed at.
And don't forget to leave us that review. And if you like what you've heard, we've been Fit2 Talk with me, Steffan.
And me, Bobby. And if you didn't like it, we've been Joe Wicks. Peace out.